Hello to my fellow history lovers. We are on to part 2 of how the tea trade, which will lead to the Boston Tea Party, starts with the East India Tea Company and its relationship with China, and how all of this will be a precursor to the American Revolution. So we said in part 1 that the East India Tea Company is incredibly powerful. It literally has more soldiers, almost twice, than the entire British Army. So it's a huge, powerful company that can do treaties and it can actually go to war. And the reason that it's trying to extract as much wealth as it can from India is because China, which is the only place to get tea, will not take any British goods. So there's a huge trade deficit. They said, we don't want your manufactured textiles or anything else. We just want your silver. So now they have to go. So a lot of silver's flowing out of Britain and into China, but there's got to be a place to keep refilling the coffers, and that is India. So at the time in India, in the Mughal Empire, there's still an emperor, but his power, he's kind of just a face, so to speak. He doesn't really have much power, and power is right now in regional groups. So they're called the Nawabs, and there's different areas of India, the different Nawabs who have the power. And it's similar, you can think, before the unification of Germany, we talked about how Hessian soldiers came from a certain state in what will become unified Germany some point. But at that point, there's a lot of princes in different principalities who are fighting politically, etc., for power, very similar in India. And in both cases, it's somewhat exploited by other groups that are thinking, how do you exploit this inner breakdown between these groups? So what happens with the East India Tea Company is they, you might say, see an opening with all of these problems. And that is going to lead to one of the most amazing battles you can imagine, which is the Battle of Plassey. And get these numbers. The British East India Company at this particular battle will only have 3,000 soldiers, and the Nawab of Bengal's army will have 50,000. So 3,000 to 50,000, more or less. And a lot more artillery, actually, with the Nawab of Bengal. But the British win, and you think that's mathematically impossible. That couldn't be, until you realize there's a lot of shady deals going on right before the battle. So I'm going to link to, we're going to do part 3, will be the last part, but there's a video series called Kings and Generals that both of my college sons are huge fans of. They think it's the best history channel, except I'm sure they think for their moms. I don't know. But I'll link to that Battle of Plassey because it's really fascinating, and it will get us to the next part of our story.